Swamin Namaste Natalokabandho Karunya Sindho Patitam Bhavabdho Mamuddharatmiya Kataksha Drishtya Rijvyati Karunya Sudhabhivrishya Swamin Namaste Swamin Namaste Swamin Namaste Swamin Namaste Yat Kirtanam Yat Smaranam Yadikshanam Yadvandanam Yat Shravanam Yadarhanam Lokasya Sadyo Vidhunoti Kalmasham Tasmai Subhadrashravase Namo Namaha Vichakshana Charanopasadanat Sangam Yudasyo Bhayatontaratmanah Vindantihi Brahmagatim Gataklamaha Tasmai Subhadrashravase Namo Namaha Tasmai Subhadrashravase Namo Namaha Tasmai Subhadrashravase Namo Namaha. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru. I was just now thinking that this portion of Navayogi Nimi-Samvada I have read many times. But when I am discussing only one yogi, his words, his instructions, it's taking so much time. That is because we are going deep into it, seeing what are the disciplines necessary for our path of liberation. If we want to proceed in that path and we want to progress in this path, what should be the disciplines? So last session, I was doing the shloka. I had finished it. That shloka is Shraddham Bhagavate Shastre Anindam Anyatra Chapihi Mano Vak Karma Dandam Cha Satyam Shamadamavapi. So I was doing this second line. Mano Vak Karma Dandam. That is the mind, speech and actions, activities should be restrained. Then comes Satyam, holding on to truth. Then Shama and Dhamma. Shama and Dhamma also mind and senses to be restrained. So I think we went quite deep into this Mano Vak Karma Dandam. For mind, we find that the mind is very, very restless. The nature of the mind is to always produce thoughts and also to go behind the senses. Our senses, the five senses, it goes to the respective objects of its interest. And the mind, if the mind follows any of the senses, what happens? It simply takes away all the discrimination from the mind of a seeker. Just like as in an ocean, suppose there is a boat and there is a storm, then the boat sometimes gets drowned. So this indriyas, the sense organs, for each sense organ, there is attraction and repulsion towards the objects of its interest, and that attraction and repulsion is natural. Now, when the mind follows one of them, the mind also gets completely distracted. And it is said that that even striving seekers, those who are in this path, has progressed quite much. If the mind is not restrained, if the senses are not restrained, what happens is that one just gets deviated from the path or the goal. So it says that, Bhagavad Gita says, Tayorna vashamagached. So these sense organs are stark enemies. We should constantly be watchful. Be watchful how? How can you be watchful? Whatever we see and we feel interested, we want to possess. The watchfulness will come by vichara, viveka. That is, we have to constantly see what we are getting attracted to by going behind it. Will we be progressing in our spiritual path, or will we be deviated from the spiritual path? That is, will we go into more of worldliness, or will our mind will go in an one-pointed wholesomeness towards the self or Brahman? So that is why in this shloka it is written, Mano va karma dandam. That dandam, what is that dandam? It is not a stick actually. By showing a stick, nothing will happen. The stick is vichara. Vicharo hi mahaushadam. In Yoga Vasishta it says that in this world, this vichara, that is discriminating between what is good, what is bad, what is true, what is false, what is permanent, what is impermanent. That vichara, constantly be watchful about that. That is the danda. It says that in this dirgha samsara rogasya vicharo hi mahaushadam. In this samsara, in this world, the worldliness is what? All kinds of sufferings, all kinds of anxieties, all kinds of dislike, anger, then fear, all these things. That is the worldliness that we constantly we are facing. Sometimes we like, sometimes we dislike. So these things in everybody's mind, it comes and goes, bringing about sometimes happiness, sometimes unhappiness. Now, this is called samsara roga. That is, we are not restful. We are under suffering. When something we like, we get, we are fearful that that situation will not be there after some time. If we do not get, then the sorrow of unfulfillment comes and it overpowers us. So, this vicharo hi mahaushadam, we have to have vichara. That do I really have to have this? Do I have to think in this way? My attitudes which I am holding on to, or whatever are my desires, my possessiveness, my ego, should I hold on to them? Does it do me any good in my yearning, my progress towards my spiritual goal? So, mano vak karma dandam. So, mind, we have seen that the mind has to be restrained by whichever manner, that is the vichara. Similarly, speech, I have dealt with these very well last time, and then we were doing karma. That is, even our actions, we have to be peaceful. We do not want to be restless, agitated, disturbed. So, what kind of work, doing work in which manner will make us peaceful and make us feel restful, tranquil and calm. So, we have to grow and we have to understand how to do work in a sattvika manner. And there I discussed this shloka from Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Niyatam sangarhitam aragadveshatakritam apalaprepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. That is, the actions that we do, it becomes sattvika, just restful, gives peace, gives light, that kind of activity. So whatever, generally when we worship or when we do meditation, or we do some spiritual and devotional activities, we feel that gives us a lot of light, happiness and peace. But we are always not doing it. Rest of the time we are in the midst of other activities. All other activities will give us similar peace, similar lightness, similar feeling of as if we are very free. How it will go? If we do work in this manner. What is that? Niyatam sangarahitam. That is, we do the work without any kind of clinging, delusional clinging or attachment. That is, there should not be any attachment. We should do our work with full heart and soul, excellently, perfectly, and fully engrossed in that work, whatever work it may be, very small work or big work, important work or unimportant work. Our mind should be in it. But we should not have any delusional clinging. Clinging to what? Clinging to any particular result. If we do any action, action will have its result. If we do it excellently, it will have excellent result. If we do not do, then it will have corresponding result. But we should not feel that when I am doing something, definitely we have an aim, we feel that I must get this result, but we should not be attached to that feeling, that kind of desire, that I must have this result. If we have that kind of a particular clinging, then if we do not succeed, then there is sorrow, misery, anger in the mind. So niyatam sangarahitam. Niyatam is always, always. It's not that today I do and tomorrow I forget it. If I have to be calm and tranquil in my mind, I have the light of sattvika guna, sattva guna, then I must be always sangarahitam. Aragadveshata kritam. A means not. Generally we work with raga and dvesha. Some work we like, some work we hate, we do not like. And whatever we like, we put all our effort in it. But whatever we do not like, we do not want to do it properly. We fail sometimes. So araga dveshata, whatever is the activity which we face or we have been given, there should not be any kind of likes and dislikes. Our way of working, our complete, the attitude towards attitude with which we work, it should be without any likes and dislikes for the nature of the work, the object of the work, whatever it is. We should actually, whatever work we get, we should like it. That gives happiness. Generally what we do, whatever work we like to do that. Whatever we do not like, we do it, but not with so much of happiness. Our attitude should get transformed into whatever work we do. Some we are skilled in, some we are not skilled, but we have to learn and do. So there is an effort. In everything, we must feel happy. Aragadveshata kritam. Aphala prepsuna. This I already told, that a particular result we should not be clinging to. Then that joy and peace will not be there. Also, whatever work we do, through every work, for a seeker or a devotee, we should consider every moment, every situation, every activity, every interaction to be sadhana. What is sadhana? Sadhana is purification of the mind, growth of the being. Whatever we are, the constricted amness that we have, from that we should expand to the universalness. So, work should be done with the aim of Atma Shuddhi, purification of the mind. What are the impurities of the mind? The greatest impurity, there are some undesirable traits in everybody, those are the impurities. In a gross manner. What are those? We know very well: anger, irritation, hatred, dislike, fault-finding, blamingness, criticism, impatience, intolerance, all those things. Then procrastination, laziness, all these are impurities of the mind. That makes the mind dull, that makes the mind slow, doesn't make the mind get open to the light of the Atma, makes the mind either very dull or disturbed. That is, with these traits, the mind is under Rajasa, Rajaguna or Tamoguna. So, that is not Sattvaguna. We must grow into Sattvaguna more and more, have the more and more qualities which are Sattvic. So, impurities in the gross level are these, but the greatest impurity, all these impurities are also offshoots of the main impurity, which is desire. Desire, possessiveness and ego. From that alone everything else proceeds. So, what for Atma Shuddhi, for purification of the mind, we must have purification or removal of possessiveness, desire and ego. Why should we do it? Again I repeat, because of this, because of desire, because of possessiveness, because of ego, the mind is agitated, mind is restless. And we know very well, only when the mind is calm, without any ripple, without any wave, absolutely tranquil, the self, which is our real self, our real identity, it gets revealed. It is there, but we are not able to see it because the mind is so restless, the mind is so disturbed, mind is so agitated. So the mind has to calm down. And for doing that, even through the activities we do, all our disturbance, agitations are when we are active. When we sleep off, nothing is there. When we are in the wakeful state, we are active. And because of all the activities, the mind is agitated, disturbed, depressed, and whatnot. The mind has to become calm, has to become sattvic. So, in Bhagavad Gita, one sloka I said, Niyatam Sangarahitam Aragadveshata Kritam Aphala Karma Yattat Sattvika Muchyate. And we are doing the work, why? For purification of the mind. And Krishna again tells Arjuna in the 5th chapter, Kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindrayairapi yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. So, Krishna is telling Arjuna that Arjuna, activities are done by the body, by the mind, by the buddhi and by the senses. But when one is a seeker or a devotee, every activity when one does, all these are involved. We should do work with this attention. We should not simply do the work. We are doing work in what manner? See, one activity is given to us. Every day we are doing so many work. Some are usual work, routinous work. We get up in the morning, we brush our teeth, we take our bath, we eat our food, we go to the shop and market, we cook, we go to office, we do work. Those are usual activities. But there are interactions. Through these activities there will be so many interactions, and which brings about agitations. So, one is to do the work, always being watchful that we are not having possessiveness, we are doing it aragadveshataha, we are always sangarahitam, we are not having this particular result, I must have that kind of a feeling. also, if you are a seeker, you must understand, feel that through every action that we do, we are actually growing into Atma Shuddhi. We can use every activity, if we are watchful, if you are attentive, we can achieve purity of mind. What is purity of mind? There are some gross things. And what is the subtle ones? Subtle ones are desire, possessiveness, and ego. So whatever activity we do, we'll find that if we have Sanga, what will happen? If we have attachment, delusional clinging to the work itself, work itself means, I want to do this work, I don't want to do that work. That work is very trivial, unimportant, nobody will notice that I am doing the work, I will not get any appreciation. This kind of a feeling. Another is, while doing the work, getting an attachment or developing an attachment to a particular result. Also, there is raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. So, always we have to be watchful. We are not actually watchful. We just do the work. We do not think about this. My dear children, when we read Bhagavad Gita or any other sloka, any other scripture, every shloka, every word, it should be etched in the mind. At least some of them. What for are we reading? What for are we listening? To apply it in our own lives. To become pure. Pure from what? Pure of what? What is this purity? The purity is not the outward purity. When we take a bath, we feel pure. When we wear a washed dress, a clean dress, we feel very pure. When we are in a pure atmosphere, very pure wind, very beautiful light, we feel pure. Not that. It's not the outward purity. It is the inner purity, which is absence of, removal of desires, which make the mind afflicted, make the mind agitated. It makes the mind disturbed. And desire, possessiveness, ego, everything together. So, from the time we read these verses, my dear children, it is not enough to by heart it and to be able to produce it or chant it. It should become part of our life. Even if we are not able to remember in each and every activity, at least there should be an yearning that someday it should become so. How will it become? Make it a habit. Maybe throughout the day, if we were active, we had done so many things, maybe 20. Out of that, 5 times only I have remembered that I must work in this manner. But if we take it as a practice, next day maybe it will become 6. Slowly the attention will grow to the extent that one day we become a sattvika person, a person who does work in a sattvic manner. Similarly, there is in the 18th chapter, who is a sattvika karta? What are the qualities of a person who does sattvic work? So I am not going there. So this kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindreirapi. When we are doing bodily work, say we are doing some bodily work. Maybe we are cleaning some place. We may be cooking something. We may be washing our clothes. We may be mopping, sweeping. All this bodily work. We must be watchful. Is there any Sanga in this. You will find many of us, we will not like if you are asked to, not in your own house, but in other places, if you are asked, oh, you want to do seva, then can you please sweep and mop these places? People will feel a little bad. There have been such people are there. They will feel, why this work? Give me some work, sitting at the computer, making charts, or doing something else. So, there is a sanga, or a feeling of ragadvesha towards the work. Whenever we are doing bodily work, we must see whether we are having sanga, whether we are having likes and dislikes for any particular work which we are doing bodily. Similarly, by mind, similarly by buddhi, and of course the senses. And when we are attentive enough, we will find that we will understand how much purity it brings about. If you are ready to do anything, thinking that every work is given by God, all my limbs, all my mind, my senses, my buddhi, the intelligence, my body with its limbs, etc., everything has been given by God. We don't know who is the creator, who created, how it creates. At least we know that I am not able to create myself or anybody else. So what is this power which makes us grow in age, get strength in body, mind, intelligence, to be able to do so much? Who is that? When we start thinking like this, we feel that I am not the doer. All the Sangha goes. The Sangha comes when we identify ourselves with the body, mind and intelligence. When we understand that nothing belongs to me, nothing I can control, it is something else, some power, which we can say God, Brahman, self, anything, which animates the soul, which animates, then all this clinging goes away. Possessiveness goes away. And from the smallness, the constriction, the limitedness, we grow into an expansion, universalness. So, mano vak karma dandam. Now, I was saying this. In explaining this, what have we seen? It is not just a word we read. Every time we are saying that we have to be watchful, we have to be attentive, we have to be discriminative, we have to remember that I am the soul, I am the self. We have to remember that God is pervading. We have to remember that we belong to God. So these thoughts, these vichara, this is the danda. Vicharo him haushadam. We have to constantly apply our intelligence. We cannot be just routinously, mechanically listen, read, contemplate, or sing or worship. Intelligence has to be there. Thinking, intelligence will bring about the discrimination, vichara. Okay, so next we go to the next verse. The next, in this, mano vak karma dandam satyam shamadamavapi. Now satyam is truth. Shamadama is more or less this only mind and senses to be restrained. And this restraint cannot be done by pressure. Baba used to tell me, when my young days, I would ask Baba that, Baba, the mind is very restless. How to remove this anger, irritation, fear, or anxiety? How to remove them? or dislike for something. So Baba used to say, tell them in a very friendly manner that you do not want them anymore. He used to say, Shatru bhave na, bandhu bhave. Not like a Shatru, that you hate them and say that go. You explain to them that I don't like you anymore. I don't want to be under your slavery anymore. Please go away from me. And be careful, watch yourselves, and remove one by one. It is like a child, Like a child has to be cajoled, the child has to be sometimes coaxed to do something. Do your homework, or please sleep now, or come for bath. The child will not try to listen. The child will not listen. So he will be constantly telling many things and make the child do it. Similarly, this mind restraint and the senses restraint, you have to somehow make them restrained. And how will we make them restrained? How it becomes easy to do so? Just like for a child, we will give some toy, something which he loves, a food or a candy or a chocolate. You can give the child any kind of gift, such gifts, and make him do something. That is, you are alluring it. Similarly, to the mind and the senses, we must give something more interesting than the worldly objects, more lovable than the worldly objects. Now there, the intelligence must bring in the vichara, the viveka, showing the mind, showing the senses that whatever they are getting allured to, attracted to, they are impermanent, short-lived, will not remain. But there is another ananda, another delight which will always remain. That is the work of the buddhi, which should constantly give them and tutor them this lesson. And also, we should direct the mind to something which is more lovable than the worldly objects. Although the buddhi tells the mind that, see, there is a greater ananda, greater joy. What is that? How will the mind be attracted if you talk about something abstract? We don't know it, we have not seen it, we are not getting even any result. By just hearing, we don't get any result, that we feel a lot of delight. Even if we feel, it goes away after some time. So how to make the mind get attracted to the thought of God, thought of Brahman, thought of self? In the next sloka, it says what is to be done. Since it is a devotional text, what it says is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Dhyanam, Harer Adbhuta Karmanah, Janma Karma Gunanam Cha, Tadarthe Khila Cheshtitam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Dhyanam, Harer Adbhuta Karmanah, Janma Karma Gunanam Cha, Tadarthe Akhila Cheshtitam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Dhyanam, Harehe Adbhuta Karmanah, Janma Karma Gunanam. What does it mean? Shravanam is here. Kirtanam, sing about. Dhyanam, meditate upon. Meditate upon what? Harehe Adbhuta Karmanah, the excellences and the deeds of the Lord, the wonderful deeds, the wonderful Leela that He has played, His excellences, His glories, all those things you must meditate upon, think about, listen to, and we should sing about. And also we should listen and sing and meditate upon Janma Karma Gunanam, about his incarnations and his sportive acts, his lila. And the last word is Tadarthe Akhila Cheshtitam. Also the devotee should learn to dedicate all his actions to God. That is, whatever we do, in the last one we were seeing how they should be restrained. That is, the mind, the speech and the actions, how they should be restrained. That is, they should not go to worldliness. They should be constantly withdrawn from the worldliness and should do such things which are conducive for our liberation. To become a true devotee, to become a true or earnest seeker. Now here, it is telling us what should be done. How do you grow love for that? However much we try, we find that only 2 hours of the day, or maximum 3 hours of the day, we are in the spiritual, listening, reading, contemplating, worshipping, lighting lamp, chanting, all that. Rest of the time, apart from your bath and sleep and food, what are we doing? Worldliness. Mind goes to all kinds of worldly things. So, why is it going? Because we love that. It's very natural. Whatever we love, we'll be thinking of that. When a boy and a girl, they love each other, they keep on thinking about themselves. Everything. I think they become oblivious of everything. If they are students, study goes away. If they are working, work goes away. The mother gets a child, she starts loving the child, always she'll be thinking about the child. To the extent she will be constantly thinking, whether my child will have some disease, whether my child will have an accident. That is fear about the child. Not only think good things about the child. Fearing. Anxiety. So the love will turn into anxiety more than love. Now, for God, for Brahman, how do we grow this love? How the mind can go to that so that it loves him? So it says, hear about him. Hear about his glory, his excellences, his magnificence. What is he? Understand that he is everywhere, in everything. He is the all-pervading one. He animates us. And not only you hear, do kirtana, sing his glory. And also meditate upon all his excellent work, excellent deeds, his incarnation, his sportive deeds. And not only that, these can be done maybe sitting in one place for a little while. Rest of the time, what are we doing? Shravanam, kirtanam, dhyanam. We can do for some time. What about the other time? Other time we are doing only activity. So what shall we do at that time? So at that time he says, Tadarthe akhila cheshtitam. Offer every work to him. Do everything that you are doing, think you are doing for his sake. Offer everything. Such a beautiful thing. I think, my dear children, these are Shastra Vakyas. These must have value in our mind. It's just not written. Sages and seers, they have followed these disciplines and they have reached the supreme goal. That is why they have written or told in words for all people to follow this. Shravanam. Now, Shravanam. What does Shravanam mean? You are listening. At least some of you who are in this, listening to these global satsangs, 3 times English satsangs and 1 Malayalam satsang, most of you are listening. And we may be listening to many things else. But what exactly is Shravanam? How are we to listen? Have we ever thought? How are we to listen? Is it just listening? With what aim do we listen? First of all, we must listen with Shraddha. Having a faith, as I was just now saying, that I am taking this sloka. Have a faith that what this sloka says is really a means to the end. What is the end? To reach the goal. What is the goal? Self-realization. Why do we want to reach that goal? Because that is the liberation from all the shackles of life. It gives eternal peace, eternal contentment, eternal fearlessness, the feeling of universalness, the constriction that we feel, the limitedness that we have, that I am such and such person. My name is this, my form is this, my qualifications are this, I've got so many possessions, my family is this. But we are bound by that. We cut open that boundary and we become absolutely free. We completely merge with the infinity, limitlessness. Why should we do so? Again you come back. We do not want to be fearful. Each one, we are living under fear of something or other. Living under lack of contentment. Living under lack of peace. Lack of happiness. We want to have these. And these can be had only when we merge with the self. We understand our real identity. We realize what we are. So this is in the background. With this background we are now studying. And we are wanting to see, this may be the background, this may be the aim. We are learning many, many concepts which transports us to a great height. But how to retain them? What do we do in everyday life to make our mind get one-pointed, wholesome? It comes away from all kinds of distractions, wasteful thoughts. It comes away from all that and starts loving this path, starts treading this path with a lot of enthusiasm, yearning, sincerity. How to do that? So it says, the mind must be given and shown something which you can love. What you can love? In Srimad Bhagavatam, they say, love God. Grow your devotion for God. Now your devotion is conditional. Conditional. Grow unconditional, unmotivated love for Him. How will you grow it? Shravanam. Listen about Him. But in which manner have you to listen? With a lot of Shraddha. What is the Shraddha? Shraddha that what is being told and spoken, that is the truth. That can be done. One can follow it and one can attain. Shraddha in Shastra Vakya and Guru Vakya. Have faith. So, listen with full Shraddha. Get drenched and soaked in whatever you hear. Whatever you hear. Feel a blessedness, my dear children. I think All of you must be having that kind of a blessedness. But even be attentive to that. Be very watchful that whether you are missing the blessedness by getting enough, day after day. Has the blessedness gone or is it increasing? Are you feeling that I am dhanya? And this blessedness should envelop every seeker, every devotee who is listening. See, in Vivek Chudamani, the Shishya, the disciple, goes to the Guru, does pranam, and tells him, please tell me how I can go across these miseries and sufferings in this world. Is there a way? I do not know. I feel afraid. In many situations in life, I feel as if I am getting drowned, as if some storm is uprooting me and taking away, as if I am being scorched by some fire. So I become afraid. I do not know what decision to take. I become confused. I am asking, I have come to you, please lift me up. Take my charge. Tell me, is there a way so that my mind will become calm? What is this bandhana? What is moksha? What is bondage? What is liberation? What is self? What is non-self? What is God? What is Paramatma? I do not know anything. Please tell me. This is his submission to the Guru. And the Guru looks at him and starts talking. You know what this Shishya says? He says, he listens. I think this one shloka, it should be by-hearted, felt, and every moment we should feel it. What is this shloka? Brahmanandarasanubhuti kalitaihi Putaiः sushitairyutaiः Yushmadvak kalashodjitaiः Shrutisukaiः Vakyamritaih sechaya Santaptam bhavatāpadāvadahana Jvalabhirenam prabho Dhanyaste bhavadikshana kshanagate Patrīkrita Svikritaha Brahmanandarasanubhuti kalitaihi Putaiः sushitairyutaihi. He says that, oh my Lord, you have the realization and experience of Brahmananda Rasa. That is, by knowing Brahman, the nectarine Ananda, that is felt. You have realized it and you have experienced it. So that nectarine juice, which is Putaihi, very pure. Brahman is pure. The only pure thing is Brahman. Because Brahman doesn't have any kind of ego, possessiveness, desire. It is the one. It doesn't have any differential note even. It is Advitiya, one without a second. This is the most pure. So, he says, my Lord, he has come to the Guru, he says, my Lord, this is very pure. Putaihi, sushitairyutaihi. And not only pure, that nectarine juice, the rasa, the nectar, that the Brahmananda is, that is cool and pure. Not only pure, it is sushitaihi. It is very, very cool. And shruti sukhaihi. So please tell me this about the questions that I am asking you. What is bandhana? What is bondage? What is moksha? What is Atma? What is Paramatma? Is there a way to cross this worldly ocean? How can one go and reach that abode? I am asking you. I know that you have realized Brahman, and it is a nectarine anubhuti, experience, realization. Please tell me about it. And this I know very well. It will be shruti sukhaihi. It will be very, very pleasing to hear. And how you will tell me? Vakyamritaihi sechaya. You please tell me your words which will come out of your mouth, which will describe the Brahmananda Rasanubhuti, pure, cool, very pleasant to hear, and which is like Amrita, Vakya Amritaihi. He says that, please pour this onto me, Sechaya, pour this onto me, shower me with this Vakya Amrita, with your words, the nectarine words of Brahmananda Rasa. You please drench me, pour it onto me, shower it onto me, as if you are pouring water from a pitcher. Just like one will pour pitcher full of water on a person who is saying, I am feeling very hot, very hot, very hot. A pitcher full of water will be poured and the person will have a bath, will get drenched and will feel very cool. He is making a simile and saying, just like when a person is having lot of heat, feeling heated because of summer heat, a pitcher full of cold water will be very, very welcome. He will feel very cool. Similarly, with your Vakyamrita, which is pure, which is very cool, which is very pleasant to hear, and which is filled with Brahmananda Rasa Anubhuti. Shower me with that, drench me by that. And he says, Dhanyaste bhavadikshana kshanagatehe patri kritaha svikritaha. Those who have come in front of your gaze, your glance, and whom you have accepted as your own, they are dhanya. Te dhanyaha, dhanyaha, dhanyaha. So when we hear, we should hear like this. What is this? What kind of hearing? The hearing is, we should feel that every word is Amrita-like, nectarine, pure, very cool, and it should fall on us, on our body, mind, intelligence, ego, our whole being, and cooling us to the core. And we should feel blessed, blessed, blessed. That in this world, among so many people, at least I have been selected, chosen by the Supreme to hear these things, to be drenched by that. This should be our attitude. This is the way we should listen. And the listening, when we do that, the listening should be for loving God, loving Brahman. When we read Vedanta, we want to hear about Brahman, the qualities of Brahman, the attributes of Brahman. Here we are reading about God. Nothing is different. We should not listen thinking that it is a punya karma. Oh, we'll be having lot of punya by listening. So let us go and listen to Bhagavata Saptaham. There are people who go from one Bhagavata Saptaham to another, to another, to another. But the listening should be like this, and not thinking that if I go and attend Saptahams or any other spiritual lecture, it is a punya. Our listening should be to become like that. Whatever is being told, to assimilate that, to become that. Because whatever it is being said, it is for our welfare, for our good. Also, we should not listen with this ego that I'll learn and then I'll teach others. My dear children, the mind is very, very corrupt. So many things it will bring up. Either it will think, whereas we should be an empty place, empty vessel, where we are asking the Guru or the Shastra to pour this nectarine Brahmananda. We should be drenched, assimilate and become that. The mind starts thinking about, am I getting punya? Mind starts thinking, have I learnt much so that I can take a class? It should not be like that. This spiritual knowledge is being and becoming. What we listen, we should do manana and we should become. This is what is the goal. So, listen only when your love for God will increase. See, in Bhagavatam only, and in this only, I think in this Navayogi only it is. He says, Shrinvan subhadrani rathangapane janmani karmani chayani loke gitani namani tadatthakani gayan vilajjo vichareda sangaha Shrinvan subhadrani. Shrinvan. Listen, listen, listen. About what? About the Rathangapane, about the Supreme Lord. His janma, his karma, what he did in this world. Sing about him. Gitani namani tadarthakani. Sing about him. Gayan vilajjaha. Do not feel ashamed to sing. See, when many are here and we are singing Nama Sankirtanam, you will find some will not sing. They are shy to sing. They are shy to sing aloud. Shy to sing, feeling that, oh, I am not meant for it. We should sing aloud, take his name. Just like when we love a child, our own child, how many times we call him? By various names. To grow love for God, we should sing his name as much as we can. Smearing it with love. Smearing it with love. So that the love grows and we start thinking only about God and not the world. Not the world. So, Gitani namani tadarthakani gayan vilajjaha visared asangaha. What happens by doing this? One becomes asanga. Sanga is our problem. Possessiveness and delusional clinging is our problem. This I-ness and mine-ness is our problem. Because of that only we suffer. Attachment, attachment, attachment. When we start singing about God, listening about God, singing about Him, understanding Him, thinking about Him, our worldliness goes. And when the worldliness goes, what Sanga is there? So, the devotee, the seeker, becomes asanga. You know, it dawns. It will not happen in one day, my dear children. You must make a habit of it. You must make a habit of it. So, how Parikshit heard. So Shravanam, now, these very, very beautiful things are there. I was thinking, I was remembering, these things I have read maybe long back, but things were coming to my mind. One thought which comes to me always is, Shravanam, what did Parikshit do? What did Arjuna do? Arjuna only heard. In the battlefield he has heard. And within maybe 2.5 hours, he heard in such a manner, such an one-pointed manner, that he attained the knowledge. We are reading Bhagavad Gita, how many times we don't know. We may be knowing the Bhagavad Gita by heart, but our Shravana is not like that. So what is that? What is that kind of a Shravana? What is actually necessary so that the Shravana becomes proper? See, Parikshit, he says, he was telling, when 3-4 days have passed, Parikshit was cursed and he had taken to Prayopavesha. That is, he left everything, his kingdom, everything, renounced, sat near the river bank, took a vow that he will not eat and drink, took a vow that he will only think about God. And when Shukadeva came that way, he fell at his feet and said, please tell me. A person whose life is only 7 days more, what he should think, what he should chant, what he should do, what worship he should do, all these things, please tell me, so that my mind becomes one-pointed. It comes away from all worldliness. So that was Parikshit. 7 days, for 7 days, Shukadeva told him about many things. It's not only God. In the guise of stories and many episodes, he has told about Vedanta. That also I told the other day. I discussed it. So, Parikshit is saying, he tells, Naishati dussaha kshunmam tyakto damapi badhate pibantam twan mukham bhoja च्युतं हरिकथामृतं नैषाति दुस्सहाक्षुन्मां त्यक्तोदमपि बाधते पिबन्तं त्वन्मुखां भोज च्युतं हरिकथामृतं. He says, my dear Lord, he is addressing Shukadeva and saying that few days have passed. I am without food and drink. But I am having no difficulty. Whereas any time lack of food and drink will be very, very difficult to bear for anybody. I am not having any difficulty because I am drinking pibantam, I am drinking tvan mukham bhojachyutam harikathamritam. I am drinking what? The harikathamrita. You are talking about the Amrita Katha, the excellences, the nectarine excellences and glories of Sri Hari, and which is coming out of your lotus mouth and lips. Tvan mukham bhojachyutam. They are falling from your mouth. And I am drinking them. I am drinking them. They are Amrita. They are Hari Kathamrita. I am drinking that Amrita. That is why, even though I am not taking food and drink, I am not tired. I am so enthusiastic. I am only yearning to listen to more and more and more. This is what in Vivekachudamani the Shishya is saying, Vakyamrita is sechaya. Shower it on me. Your Vakyamrita, I am ready to drink. Ready to drink. This is how we should think about listening. When we listen, our mind should be in it. Not half-hearted. Not routinous. My dear children, this listening becomes routinous, mechanical. Listening and listening, listening and listening, not working on it. So he is saying this. Also he says, Sankirtyamano Bhagavan Anantaha Shrutanubhavo Vyasanam hi Pramsam. When you listen properly, what will happen is this. What Parikshit said? Parikshit said that it is a Amrita that you are showering on me, I am drinking it. I am drinking Amrita. Naturally, when one takes this immortal drink, one will not feel any tiredness, one will be immortal himself. So nothing is happening to me. And by listening to whatever is told about God, what happens? Sankirtyamano Bhagavan Anantaha Shrutanubhavo Vyasanam hi Pumsam Pravishya Chittam Vidhunotyashesham Yatha Tamorko Bhramivati Vataha. He says, Bhagavan Anantaha Shrutanubhava. God who is infinite, limitless. When the glory of the infinite Lord is heard, Shrutaha. Shrutaha. That is, we are listening. Listening in what sense? Listening with full mind, with Shraddha. Drinking whatever is being poured on us. Through our ears it goes, enters our being. And what happens then? When it enters our being through our ears, it purifies the whole being. All the undesirable qualities, the traits which agitates us, disturbs us, afflicts us, make us feel small, constricted. All those traits become purified. All our suffering, all our miseries are removed. Just like the simile is given, just like when the sun rises, the darkness goes. When there is a storm or wind, all the clouds disperse. Similarly, the darkness of the mind, the clouds in the mind, the fear, anxiety, tension, dukkha, unhappiness, suffering, affliction, so many words are there. All those get dissipated. By what? By whatever this nectarine excellences, when we hear, we drink, it goes inside and it makes us feel free. So, with that kind of a feeling we should hear. We should feel pure, pure, pure. Not thinking that I have gained the knowledge now, I can repeat it to somebody. I can discuss with somebody. Okay, discuss. But the main idea should be purification. Atma Shuddhi. Atma Shuddhi. One must feel blessed. One must feel blessed. One must feel purified. Not to gain small knowledge. Oh, this shloka is there, that shloka is there. Oh, that is very good, that is very good. We have to retain it, assimilate it, and live it. That is our... Then, the question comes, you will find that there are many people here. Some, they progress in this path, and some do not. So what? Why? Why it is so? Some will not have much interest. Some will grow more and more interest. Some in their daily life, they will try to follow all these disciplines, try to become more and more pure. Their whole life starts getting transformed. They start radiating peace and happiness in others. Dispassion to the world comes. Bhaktihi, viraktihi, bhagavat prabodha. Devotion increases. Similarly, the devotion to the world decreases. And bhagavat prabodha, that is realization of God. You start finding God everywhere. Your life changes. You may remain in the house or not. Your life changes. You can feel God everywhere. How does it happen? So, it says, even though many hear the same subject, one finds difference in transformation. Why does it happen? So, there is a sloka which says, there is difference in how one does Shravana. That is what I was saying. Shravanasya vibhedena phalabhedotra samstita. Shravanam tu kritam sarvair natatha mananam kritam. Phalabhedas tato jato bhajanadapi manada. Because the progress does not take place, because how you are doing Shravana it differs from person to person. Not only that, you may have Shraddha, you may be having a lot of concentration also, but one must do Manana along with it. This is what I am saying. I was telling you when I was chanting this shloka, Niyatam Sangarahitam Aragadveshatakritam Aphala karma Yattat Satvikam Uchyate. I was telling you at that time, while chanting it, that my dear children, when we read these slokas, immediately the mind should start acting on it. Start acting on it. From the very next moment, whatever karma you do, whatever activity you do, you must see whether you are Sangarahita, whether you are having raga and dvesha, whether you are looking for a particular result. So, Manana is very essential. While we are listening, as we hear, the Manana on the words and what we have heard should also settle in us. So, and after Manana, we must be Nididhyasana, we must do Dhyana also, contemplate also. In Viveki Chudamani it says, Shrutehe Shatagunam Vidyan Mananam Mananadapi Nididhyasam Lakshagunam Anantam Nirvikalpakam. Shrutehe Shatagunam Vidyan Mananam Mananadapi Nididhyasam Lakshagunam Anantam Nirvikalpakam. In Viveki Chudamani about Shravana and Manana, what is being said, just see. Shrutehe mananam shatagunam mananadapi nididhyasam lakshagunam nirvikalpakam anantam vidyat. That is, when we hear, we must do Manana. And afterwards, definitely. So as we hear, as we read, we should do Manana and keep on doing the Manana. While we are sitting, while we are walking, while we are taking bath, while we are taking food, that subject should remain in the mind. And do Manana. What does it want to say? How can I relate it to myself, my life? So it says, Shrutehe shatagunam. Reflection is 100 times superior to hearing. So Shravanam, how Shravanam should be done? So Shravanam will be incomplete if we do not do Manana. Shrutehe Mananam shatagunam. Reflection is 100 times superior to hearing. Mananadapi nididhyasam lakshagunam. And from Manana, that is reflection, 100,000 times superior is meditation. 100,000 times means laksha, 1 lakh. So meditation is 1 lakh times superior to Manana. And after meditation, you should try to go into what? Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That is, we must have Samadhi. That is, you become that. That is infinite in its result. That takes us to the supreme abode. So, this is how we should. See, I was reading from the Bhagavatam book. It says Shravanam, Kirtanam, Dhyanam. Now we may read it, but we must know what is Shravana, how it is to be done, why it is not effective in me. I am hearing, still it is not effective. I find that my attraction towards the world, petty matters, petty things, everything I like very much. My love for God is not increasing. If I have any excuse, I will miss my spiritual routines. I will miss a satsang. Any excuse, a small excuse is enough. Why? Because my love has not grown. How the love will grow? In what way we should do Shravana? In what way we should do Manana? More than Manana, what we should do? All this should come by Viveka. Now, it says, Adridham cha hatam jnanam, pramadena hatam shrutam, sandigdho hi hato mantro, vyagrachitto hato japaha. It's giving us a caution. What is the caution? We have knowledge. After hearing about the self, we know all the attributes of the self. We know who is a Jivan Mukta. Knowledge about the self we have. But if that knowledge is not stable, then useless it is. It is useless. So, adridham cha hatam jnanam. If jnana is not stable, then it is useless. Pramadena hatam shrutam. Shravana becomes ineffective with inattention. What is this inattention? Right from the beginning, whether we have Shraddha, whether we have attention to hear, whether we are doing Manana along with it, whether we have the yearning to receive and retain and become all that. So if that inattention is there, that is, you are just hearing. And next day again you will hear. Because hearing is telling something which gives you some pleasure while hearing. That much. So getting that pleasure, you hear. Then, when one has doubt in the mantra, a mantra will be ineffective. Suppose you get a mantra you have taken Diksha, you have taken initiation, and you have a Guru mantra, you have to chant. If there is a doubt, then what will happen? The mantra will be ineffective. And with restless mind, japa becomes ineffective. When we start doing japa, that is, japa of a mantra, japa in the name of God, mind should not become restless. So, how can the Shravana can become perfect? Vishwaso Guruvakyeshu Swasmin Deenatva Bhavana Mano Dosha Jayaishchaiva Kathayam Nischala Matihi Evamadi kritam chet syad tada vai shravane phalam. One will have the true result of Shravana. When Shravana is done in this manner, being attentive with Shraddha, faith in Guru's words, having humility, that is what I am hearing. Not only faith in Guru's words, we must have humility, victory over one's own defects, all the undesirable qualities that we have, victory over that. That is, we have restrained our mind and our senses, and we have one-pointed concentration in hearing. Then the Shravana becomes fruitful. Then the Shravana leads to perfect Manana. Okay, I will do this again, this portion again the next time. This portion is from the Mahatmya, Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya, Shravanasya vibhedena phalabhedotra samsthitaha. Shravanam tu kritam sarvair na tatha mananam kritam. Okay. Sampurnam jagadeva nandanavanam sarvepi kalpadrumaha gangam vari samasta vari nivaha punyas samasta kriyaha vacha prakrita samskrita shruti shiro varanasi medini sarvavasthitirasya vastu vishaya drishti parabrahmani sarvavasthitirasya vastu vishaya drishti parabrahmani. Jai Guru, Jai Guru.